Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sunday Jamz. It's just Joe and Shak today, and on the agenda is a review of Drake and his new project, More Life. Canadian hit sensation, quite possibly the biggest artist in the world. Everybody knows him, everyone's heard of him, and here he comes with his fifth full-length project. Comes only a year after Views, his fourth full-length project, and of course, the small time gap kind of implies this may be a B-sides type deal, songs that didn't quite make the cut of Views, etc. And the other thing, I guess, that has to be brought up to attention before we dive in is that this is not actually an album. No, no, no. It's a playlist. The first ever, as far as I know, full-length playlist release in music, tailored and designed for the streaming platform. We have spearheaded by Drake, a new way of consuming music, or at least that's what he seems to think.
I don't know if I agree with that really.
Yeah, well, that's it seems that's what he wants to sell is a new way of consuming music, whether or not that is actually what happened when you listen to More Life. We can get into that later. But I can only assume from him not calling it an album that he doesn't want it consumed as an album. So I'll take him on that for now. But yeah, let's get into it. I think the best place to start would be to build off that final point of it being a playlist.
Yeah.
Um, to me, the playlist thing annoyed me, and the reason why it annoyed me is because it seemed like to me it was his way of giving an excuse for the album being a complete mess because it had absolutely no cohesion.
That is
Like,
exactly what I was just gonna say.
yeah,
It's an
like there was
excuse for
no.
like songs being like really similar to one another.
Yeah, and there was no really like there wasn't really a flow in the album. There wasn't really like a there wasn't really any proper structure. It felt like there was just like there were clumps of tracks together that sounded similar, and then another clump of a few tracks that sounded similar. But other than that, it was just like I don't know. It was just like
That's
just
particularly noticeable when Can't Have Everything and Glow. Those two
right.
songs
Yeah,
have like the exact same beat. It's just
yeah,
like this
yeah.
like wobbly deep synth and and then just like a few drums.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and that's it for the beat.
hmm And also in the first half of the album, you have Get It Together, Madiba Rhythm, and Blem, and they're all watered down dancehall tracks,
Yeah.
and they're all together, and they're the only three watered down dancehall tracks on the album. That they're all been clumped as like a trilogy of like
Yeah.
really watered down dancehall. And another point as well is Nothing's Into Something's, and then Teenage Fever, and they're both like moody alternative R&B songs that have been clumped together as well.
Yeah.
So it feels like clumps, but it doesn't. But even so, it still doesn't feel like there's a proper cohesion in the album. It doesn't feel like you're
Yeah.
going through a quote unquote story when you listen to it. It feels like a playlist in that it's just a bunch of songs together. You know?
Just a bunch of ideas that don't really lead to anything.
Right?
That
Yeah.
could have been something.
Yeah, and again, it's kind of what you'd expect if this was a B-sides from Views, which is quite likely because obviously no one makes an album in like a few months, so it's like probably a lot of this probably was recorded around the time Views was recorded, I'm guessing, or maybe a bit after, but it's not kind of like something he's worked on for years, obviously, and B-sides often have this similar characteristic where it doesn't really have doesn't really have a flow, doesn't really have any kind of proper album like structure. It's just kind of like a collection of songs that didn't make it.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised they didn't make it because, like, listening to this, following all of the bangers you're used to hearing Drake put out, this sounds like too much of like the same miserable, not alternative, but like just like super minimalist, really typical stuff.
Mm.
There's nothing on here like One Dance bar Fake Love, which is like the standout banger on the album.
See, to me, I think the song most like One Dance is Blem, and I can see
Yeah, yeah,
Blem
yeah.
blowing up
Yeah, I've already
because it's
heard that
really,
at work today.
yeah, it's really
Legit.
catchy, and it's like I can imagine this in a club,
But
for
beyond that,
those.
this album just doesn't have like the banger potential that
Mm,
so many songs we're used to hearing does.
Right,
do.
yeah. No, I pretty much agree with that. Yeah, I don't think there's really many bangers. There's not there's a surprising lack of catchiness on the album.
Yeah.
For a Drake album, like Blem was catchy.
I
Uh
liked Teenage Fever because of like that sung chorus and everything. I found that actually quite catchy, and on Sacrifices as
right,
well.
Sacrifices. Yeah. That's one with Young Thug on it
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That one was it wasn't one of my least favorite ones for sure. I can't really remember it, which I guess isn't a good
Yeah,
testament.
I found a lot of the songs like pretty not
Forgettable.
memorable, forgettable. Yeah,
Hmm.
because like Drake's verse is the least interesting part of those kinds of songs. You know, like when he gets like a couple of features in.
Yeah.
Drake's bit is always the boring bit,
Hmm.
and then people like Two Chainz, Young Thug, who else is on it? Travis Scott,
Yeah.
Quavo. They bring in a little bit of texture, just
Hmm.
something else, because so much of the album seems so indulgent.
Yeah.
It's just Drake doing what we all know he does for like
Hmm.
4 minutes.
Yeah, no. And it's kind of funny because like the Skepta interlude, I felt like when the Skepta interlude came on, he basically had done a more interesting verse than any of Drake's
Yeah,
verses up until that point. Like, and that wasn't even like a high for Skepta. That wasn't like, you know, in of all the rap Skepta's ever done, it's not like, wow, that was an amazing rap by Skepta. It was just like, well, that was better than all the other
it's
raps
way
on
more
the album so
interesting.
far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only time I think Drake sounds like impressive as a rapper is when putting it to Gigs.
Right. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Gigs sounds crap on this album, man.
mm. I really hate No Long Talk. I think it's a really
It's bad.
song. And it's so I find it really cringy. This whole him saying shit like ting and all
He
that
ends
stuff.
like
Like
every bar with Ting in
it's
the first
really
verse, and it's
cringy.
like, man, I know you're rapping with Gigs, but you don't have to do this.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's really cringy. And obviously in Blem with the whole stock going back to your guy, he's a waste man or whatever
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And he does adopt a lot of these English like phrases, and it just
Gloucester.
it gets really cringy. Like, and people have been trying to make excuses like, oh yeah, but the Jamaican community in Canada, and it's like, mate, that's not why he's doing this. He hasn't ever done this before. Suddenly he has English people on his project, and suddenly he starts saying "ting" and "waste man" everywhere. It's like, mate, this isn't a coincidence. He's
Yeah.
obviously trying to, it's just like with all his dancehall songs and him doing that kind of really shitty patois type thing that doesn't really work. Um,
Yeah.
what did you think about Passion Fruit? Because Passion Fruit, it is the most streamed song other than Fake Love, obviously, because it's been out forever.
Yeah.
Other than Fake Love, it's the most streamed song on the album, and also a lot of the reviews have been going crazy about this song. Like a lot of people are calling it a highlight and shit. But I listened to it like I kept listening to it trying to get it, and I really don't like it at all. Like it's probably one of my. At first, it was one of my lowlights. Now I probably would say it's somewhere in the middle, but I'm just not a fan of it at all. I don't really get the hype about it.
I kind of like the beat.
Mm.
It's nice. It sounds kind of dream. It sounds very sunny.
Yeah, it's very dreamy.
It's
Um,
got a kind of just like a Caribbean vibe to it, like just immediately, which I guess kind of goes with the name.
yeah, it's kind of interesting though because it's not dance hally. It's almost like a dance pop track. Like it's kind of not really like things that he usually does in terms of like the actual beat.
Yeah,
It's not like a dancey thing. It feels like it doesn't. It's the only thing on the album that doesn't feel like it's trying really hard to be trendy and modern. Like everything else is like dance, watered down dance hall, which is super trendy, trap, which is super trendy, moody R&B, which is super trendy. The rest of the album is basically just a pastiche of current trendy urban music.
yeah,
But Passion Fruit kind of sticks out as like something maybe he was actually just doing what he wanted to do and not what he knew
maybe,
was going to be
maybe.
popular.
I don't know. I can see why people are picking it as a standout because it definitely it does stand out against the rest of the
Yeah,
tracks.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would call it a favorite. It's memorable because of its differences, but I don't know if its differences are
Hmm.
are really to my liking.
Yeah. I really like the. I think it's a violin in it, and it's kind of low and
Wah, wah.
distorted. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I really
yeah.
like that kind of weird distorted violin in it. That's really nice.
Sounds nice. Oh, you know Galchester?
Yeah.
I thought that sounded kind of like Drake's attempt at like a British kind of grimy hip hop song, but like without gigs or something. Just like how he phrases and times his lyrics and bars and how the beat comes in at certain points and everything. It sounds just like a Gigs song or something. And I
Right. Okay.
bet that's exactly what they were going for. I bet Gigs had such
Yeah.
a big part in the production of that.
Yeah. I don't know who produced it, but you could be right there. Yeah.
It sounds so
What
much like that.
what I feel about Galchester, and it's similar vibes with a few of the other songs like KMT and Free Smoke. And Free Smoke was actually a highlight, but
Yeah.
they all have this kind of. It doesn't even feel like his flow. It feels like this trendy flow that he's trying to emulate. You know, like the kind of flow that you hear in like Tentacion's "Look at Me." You know, like your little Uzis and people like that. It feels like a very trendy flow that he's
Yeah.
trying to do,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like the thing that doesn't work as well as with all those other guys that I said, like Tentacion and Uzis and people like that, and Yachties and everyone, is because the trap beats he chooses are so bland compared to the trap beats that they all rap over. Like I feel like when you do trap, like the beat is so important. Like the beat really has to be good because like
There's not that much variation in the
exactly yeah
actual vocal performance, really, other than like the
exactly yeah.
obvious like voice differences.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, like, yeah, it's the beat that really has like the biggest character of the song. I think you know.
I don't feel like
Um,
flows really change that much.
yeah, it's definitely not as very like it just definitely doesn't have as much variety as like regular hip hop or anything like that. In general, the genre. But yeah, the beats he chooses on like KMT, on Galchester, on Free Smoke, they're all very like you say minimalist, and it's like I don't know if that really works with trap because you know most of the big trap songs or stuff they have very memorable beats. Like the beats are probably like the most memorable thing about Bad and Bougie and shit like that.
One
It's
night.
yeah, exactly, really
All you
memorable
need is
beats.
that really like that catchy synthy bits in one night. Just a blur,
Hmm.
blur, blur,
Yeah.
blur. That's all you need. But this
Hmm.
is just it's so that it just sounds so bare a lot of the time. And even though it does work on free smoke, like
Hmm.
it sounds like too serious. Like he's trying too hard to come across like these songs are like real like serious songs,
Hmm.
and that like
Yeah.
they're about serious stories and this is real shit, man.
Hmm. Mm.
It needs to just lighten up a bit, I feel.
Yeah. Again, even with the lyrical content, it kind of fits in with the kind of genre crisis that the album has. Everything feels like it's just such a mess. Like, you've got all songs about all kinds of different shit and all kinds of different ideas. Obviously you've got normal Drake lovey shit on stuff like Passion Fruit and Blem and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then you got like shit about braggy
Yeah.
stuff.
You got those Migos vibes on Portland
Yeah.
with their scoot
Mhm.
scoot in the
Yeah.
chorus.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just it's too much of a like trendy compilation, but it just doesn't have like it feels like it has absolutely no idea what it wants to be, and it feels like it's just relying on the fact that it's a playlist. So like, dude, it doesn't have to be anything. It's a playlist,
I can just
I
release
think
whatever I want. It doesn't have to be good. It's a playlist. You don't need to
yeah,
call it an album.
yeah, exactly. And it's almost like in this way it doesn't tarnish his album career, his album legacy. But the thing is,
It's an
saying
option
that,
select.
yeah, yeah. But saying that, and also we were talking about the B sides of potential B side. I think this is better than Views because Views was shit. The thing that annoys me about this project is also what gives it the edge over Views, which is that it has so much variety. Like because it's such a mess, it has so many different. It has quite a few different genres on here. Whereas Views, it was all like there was a couple dancehall, and then it was mostly just like singy R&B Drake stuff, and it was like Views was like a whole project full of the same boring shit. And this is like it's a project that also isn't very good, but it's got lots of different shit, which just immediately makes it a lot more interesting than Views was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like it's funny because it I do prefer it to Views. So it's not even for me. It doesn't feel like a B-side. It feels like Views could have been the B-sides to this, other than the really big tracks on Views, like
Yeah.
One Dance.
I wish
don't
there were
think.
more singing moments on this album.
Hmm.
More of those, I don't know, just those catchy choruses like in One Dance,
Hmm.
where he's
I
actually
just
singing.
Jake has a few projects that I actually actively like some of his older things. Like Take Care is my favorite Drake project, and also Nothing Was the Same. And If You're Reading This Is Too Late are both decent projects as well. And a lot of them, yeah, like the choruses are memorable. Like I don't know, it's so much more memorable, and also it's so much more Drake than this is. This album, even though it is very Drake, it's him trying to be trendy too much, and it's like the signature Drake sound that he founded himself on, that he blew up on, isn't even that much on this album. It's all like Drake as people know him now, which is basically bandwagoning off other genres.
Yeah.
Like it's not the signature Drake sound that like you hear on Started From the Bottom or Headlines or any of his old big tracks that he kind of got big on.
Yeah.
Because he had a a very distinct thing, and this, I feel like he's kind of lost his distinctiveness. He's got a new distinctiveness, but his new distinctiveness is like basically bandwagoning off people and making
Yeah. No.
versions of other sounds.
It's not exciting anymore.
Hmm. Yeah.
And speaking of old Drake, like started from the bottom, I didn't like Glow.
Really?
I didn't like Glow.
Well, I was going to get into like to me, Glow was easily my favorite track on the album.
Really?
Like by far, yeah. And a lot of people didn't like Glow, like in the reviews and stuff. It didn't go down well, but to me, and the reason why I preferred Glow, because I thought in terms of the sound, it just sounded. I felt like it sounded more. It sounded more like it had an artistic edge to everything else, like with the way the song was structured, like the way the chorus didn't stay in one place in a sense, and the chorus kind of went through the song, and also just the kind of main sound that they use on top, just felt a lot more interesting to me than everything else on the album, and I assume that was just because it was probably Kanye West who made it. And I just think he's a much better writer than Drake is. But yeah, I really liked Glow.
I thought it sounded really similar to the song before it, like I said earlier, Can't Have Everything.
See, I don't like Can't Have Everything, but I really like Glow. I feel like Glow is so much more catchy than Can't Have Everything.
I don't
Like I
find
can't remember.
either of them that catchy, really.
I mean, I guess it kind of depends on how many times, because I've listened to Glow loads of times now. So to me, like, it's very solidified in my head.
Yeah.
Um,
I've listened to Glow maybe 3 or 4 times now,
mhm.
and like,
I mean, that whole "Watch out for me, I'm about to glow," like that line
it
in
just doesn't
itself.
sound that good to me. Like, in just how it's delivered, like as something to keep coming back to, I don't think it's that great of like a focus point.
Mm. I don't know. I think it's nice and simple, and like I say, I like the way that it's a chorus that isn't in a kind of static place. Like I thought that was a
Yeah.
cool way to chop up the song. Drake's kind of delivery here was slightly better than usual, and it's still not. I still wouldn't call it good. Like I don't think I ever call his vocal performances like great, but I don't know. It felt like he was trying a bit more here. I guess.
Maybe. I guess it's easy to feel like you've got to try when you put next to Kanye.
Yeah, and also like I feel like Drake can feel sometimes a bit superficial, and I feel like Kanye was brought kind of like all the features like Sampha, Kanye, they brought like more genuine emotions, and Georgia, I don't know how you pronounce the woman's name, um,
Yeah.
but they all feel like there's so much more genuine like emotion. What the emotion that they deliver feels a lot more genuine than Drake's kind of stuff. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
Another highlight for me was Free Smoke, as we kind of touched on.
yeah. That's one of the moments in which I think that really serious minimal beat really works as a
Yeah,
kickoff to a project.
yeah. The way the beat comes in at the beginning is
It
really
sounds
cool. After
sick, yeah. It
singing,
sounds like
yeah.
super slick. It just sounds
Hmm.
the bass sounds just it just sounds serious. It sounds like it means business. It's a good start.
Hmm.
It doesn't sound
And
like
yeah,
watered down.
yeah. And his verse, his flow is very like tightly controlled in it as well. So the verse in itself, the flow in itself, has kind of like a catchy feel to it. He's still being super trendy though. I mean, with that whole "A free smart A," like that whole
Yeah,
A
yeah,
thing
yeah,
is
yeah.
so like Lil Uzi Tentacion type thing. You know,
It's
that's so like 2016 trap trendy kind of vibe.
very
What
current
other
year.
what other highlights did you have? 'Cause I also had 4422. Was that a
Yeah,
highlight for
yeah,
you as well?
definitely. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to see someone like Sampha getting the exposure he deserves.
Hmm. Yeah, I think he was on a former Drake project as well. I think he was on Nothing Was the Same,
Yeah, but like
but
with
it was a lot
coinciding with the
smaller.
release of his new album and everything,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's a big
like
boost.
now people can go search his name, find stuff like No One Knows Me Like the Piano and everything,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Sure.
like it's just he just sounds really good on the track. I'm glad he got the track like basically devoted to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Like the
just him
Skepta one as
singing on
well.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just nice.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, he was way more interesting to listen to than Drake for a whole song.
Yeah. It doesn't even compare in terms of like singing like ability and like yeah, he's so much better and he sounds amazing on it. But one thing I was thinking is even though it's definitely a highlight of the album, I was thinking if I put this song on Process, I don't know if it would still be a highlight on Process. Like it's still not on the level of like Plastic 100 Degrees or
Yeah,
like or No One Knows Me or Blood from Me.
it's not
And
like that catchy a song or anything. It doesn't like
yeah,
stand
no,
out as
no. It's
like
basically an interlude. Yeah,
yeah, it doesn't stand out as a really good like song, but
yeah,
it's way more interesting than a lot of what Drake offers.
yeah. Right. Yeah, I agree with that. See, KMT started off as a low light, and it's kind of creeped its way to like almost a highlight. And I think it's just because I like Drake has a kind of cool verse, and this is the verse that there was all that controversy over. That people was like he was ripping off the "Look at Me" Tentacion verse, because it's kind of like the it's a very similar like structure of the flow that he does on it. But the annoying thing about that is that when because there's that whole "Look at Me" and there was that whole controversy over him ripping off "Look at Me," it makes me immediately compare the song to "Look at Me," and like the beat in "Look at Me" is so much better than the beat in KMT. It's so much like more memorable, and it's like this is such a plain and simple, boring beat. It has like nothing,
Yeah,
anything unique about it, you know.
it doesn't sound good, and like Gigs doesn't sound good either, and like
But he
ending
does
the
have,
song on the Batman bar was a poor choice.
yeah, the Batman Ball.
It's
That was
just
poor.
dead. It's just like this
Yeah,
was not a good ending, and then it just fades out. It's like, well, that was just crap.
yeah, yeah. But he does have some good bars. Like, he
Yeah,
has
it's
some
like kind of funny
funny
sometimes. Yeah,
quotable
he
bars.
says
Yeah.
some funny shit, but it's like at the end of the
I
day,
mean,
it's
Giggs
low
is kind of
impact.
Giggs is kind of an artist that prided himself on like getting funny one-liners or good one-liners and like very simple
And that's
flows.
why
You
it's
know.
mind blowing that he's made himself onto two tracks on a Drake release.
Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised when I saw the two gigs. I was like, "Gigs, really? Like, that's interesting."
How did he get this far?
Yeah, but I mean, look what the Cat Dragon is still a massive banger, and he's definitely capable of making good songs. It's just he needs to like, his whole thing is his voice and the fact that he has the really simple, quotable edge, and neither verse on here is that quotable. It's not even playing to Geeks' strengths. I don't feel,
No,
you know. I don't think any feature on this track their strengths will play to. I don't think any of them was like, wow, that's strong for them. I don't think I ever said that about any feature
no,
on the
no.
track. It's not a strong Kanye. It's not strong for Sampha. It's not strong for. It was good on the album, but it wasn't like a strength for them as artists at all.
I feel like it says more about Drake than it does anyone else.
Yeah, he can't really bring it out of them basically. Fake Love, obviously, I'm guessing is a highlight for both of us.
Yeah, it's a banger. It's just like it's just such a catchy song.
I really like the instrument sample. You know, I don't know what it is, but I do really like it. You know that bam, bam, boom thing that comes in before the chorus. I don't know. I don't know what this
In
instrument is.
Fake Love,
Yeah, yeah. It's like
I will know what you mean. I just
yeah.
can't get it right now.
I also really like that whole refrain. Refrain was like, "That's when they smile in my face. Whole time they want to take
Yeah,
my
and the way
place."
the bass kicks in at that point as well, it just sounds sick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a really great refrain there. And I guess you could call that whole thing a pre-chorus to the actual
Yeah,
chorus.
the
So
album, the whole album needed more of that
yeah.
if it was gonna have any kind of memorability.
hmm And then the other highlight I have, which again didn't really start as a highlight, but now has definitely become a highlight, is Blem. Just because it got stuck in my head, and I've listened to it a lot of times, just because it got stuck in my head.
I
That's
don't even think the beat is that sick.
I don't think the beat is that sick. No, I think the beat is probably the weakest part. I just think it's a really catchy chorus,
Yeah,
and it's got stuck in my head now. And now it's like, it's the same with One Dance. I still hold that One Dance is a crap song. Like, I think it's produced poorly. It's just catchy. I feel like it's the same thing with Blem. I feel like the same
yeah.
thing's gonna happen. Like, it's catchy and it's gonna blow up just because it has that catchy and the subject matter obviously as well.
Like all it needed
Um,
to be a hit song was the "I'm left for real. I just can't say how I
exactly.
feel."
Yeah.
That's all it needed.
Yeah, and it's got a really catchy like the post chorus, little bit, with "Stop Calling Your Exes a Waste Man."
Oh
That
yeah,
whole bit
yeah,
as
yeah.
well is catchy. And he talks about alcohol, so it's basically destined to be in a club now as a song. Like the first few lines are about drinking, so it's set up. It's all set up to be a banger.
I was quite
To be.
impressed that I heard it at work today.
Mhm.
I was like, mate,
I called it, man. I was like, this is gonna be the one
yeah,
dance of
you
the
did, you
album.
did.
Like, I could feel it. But I mean, maybe it'll be passion fruit as well. I don't know. But passion fruit is just different. It doesn't feel as trendy, But it's going down well, so it could be passion fruit. And it could obviously also be Portland because that's a very
Yeah,
trendy
Portland
song.
was like kind of in my highlights, just
Yeah.
because of like the fun that the features bring.
hmm
Like the chorus sounds straight out of like it sounds so comparable to something like Bad and Bougie.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. I
It,
think those two guys are both have
Quavo
really Quavo and Travis
Quavo
Scott.
definitely brings it out. It pulls you into that more fun world of trap that
hmm
Migos and Yachty and Uzi they're all part of, and Drake isn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
He's
Yeah.
stuck. He's stuck like sitting at home while all these other people are out here having fun.
Yeah. I really like the last verse though. The I think it's Travis's verse.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
quite
yeah.
like melodic and it blends really nicely with the lighter beat. But again, it's like what I said. I feel like Drake sounds like a guy who's a fan of lots of music, and he gets really happy and excited, and then he like sits down to write this album and just decides to kind of like try and stuff every like trendy influence onto it. He's basically just he feels like he's obsessed with all the trends that are going on, and he's just like, oh man, I need to just try all these out. Like you say, he's got the kind of fun trap, and he's got everything else as well in terms of the urban scene at the moment. But I think Portland would work as a single, as a banger, that could be released for sure. What other highlights did you have on the album? Was there any that haven't been covered?
Um,
Skepta interlude, that was kind of a highlight for
yeah, I
me.
liked Skepta interlude. I liked
Yeah.
Teenage Fever and Sacrifices because of the sung choruses. Like there's some glimpse of something catchy there.
Yeah.
Like whereas there are plenty of songs like that I can't even remember, like "Lose You," "Do Not Disturb," "Ice Melts," and it's
Mm.
just like nothing was memorable. Ice
Yeah.
Melts is
Yeah.
like this crap thing about this girl's
Ice.
all icy. It's like
Yeah, Ice
that's the
Melts is a
whole thing.
definite low light for me.
Yeah,
Like I really hate Ice Melts. Like I thought it was shit, and the chorus is really annoying in it as
didn't
well.
stand out. Young Thug couldn't save it.
No,
Uh,
I get Madiba Rhythm. I thought was really shit. Uh, it was kind of like a slightly more exotic sounded, watered down dancehall song, but it's really boring and like the percussion was so like unexpressive and bland, and there's this really annoying guitar lick that just repeats and repeats, and it's just setting like no atmosphere. It feels like a shit. It feels like a really shit advert for like a beach resort or something in a song. Like it's just
Yeah.
crap, man.
Beyond the beat, like I can't really tell you what I thought of it. 'Cause
Yeah,
I just like it's left my brain.
yeah. No Long Talk was a low light as well. Shit, just crap.
Yeah. And beyond that, I don't know how much more I have to say about the album.
Yeah, no, I don't really have much else to say. I thought it was interesting that on there was Lose You and Do Not Disturb, and both those songs felt like he was going back to an older style of the way he raps. They were quite from they chimed with kind of like Take Care era type rapping, because a lot of the album he was doing this new trendy trap style rap, but in these ones he sounded like he was kind of trying to be like he was in his kind of classic Drake period. And neither of them were very good songs, but they did feel like throwback songs for Drake at
Yeah.
least.
Okay. Well, uh, this is the first Drake release that I've properly gone through from start to finish, so I'm not like hugely familiar with the ins and outs of his past.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like, if this is where I started, like, I wouldn't really want to listen to more.
yeah. I feel like these last two, this and Views are really bad for Drake. Even for Drake, like it's not like I'm the biggest Drake fan, but I would say I like him basically based off Take Care, Nothing Was the Same, and If You're Reading This Is Too Late, and I think they're all worth listening to. But these two albums have been really like I don't like them at all.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I am going to give this a number. I'm going to slap a number on it.
Oh, I hadn't
Uh,
thought about that.
I'm going to say it's about a strong four. It's like it's almost a five, but I wouldn't quite.
I was just thinking that because like, it's definitely not a six.
No,
Nowhere, no,
no,
it's
no.
definitely not a six. But then I'm like, is it good enough to even be a five? Like, are the good songs good enough? And I don't think they are.
No, I really don't. Like the only songs that I return to are the only songs that I have returned to outside of just having to for the review is Free Smoke, Glow, and Blem. I haven't listened to any other
And
songs.
fake love.
Oh, and Fake Love, yeah, yeah. But that doesn't really count because I've been listening to that
Yeah,
for
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
a month. Yeah,
Longer
but
than
but
that.
those are
It feels like it got released like a year ago now.
yeah, it was a while ago. It was, but yeah, those are the only three songs that I have optionally come back to, and Passion Fruit just out of kind of interest, out of curiosity. So yeah, I mean, I'm strong. Like a 4-5 boundary is for me, but I'm gonna settle on a 4, like a strong 4,
I
because
feel like I'd agree with that.
yeah, yeah, I'd give views like a weak 4, give this like a strong 4, almost a 5, but not quite really. So yeah,
Overall, kind of poor. I don't know if I'll be returning to like any of the songs on this album beyond the ones that I'm like going to be forced to hear whenever I go out.
yeah.
Like,
Uh-huh.
as
I'm
much as
only
I
gonna.
liked Teenage Fever compared to the other songs, like it's not
It's still only
actually
compared.
great. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's just a contrast. I know what you mean. Yeah.
yeah,
The Glow is the only one I actually really like. The other two songs I like at the moment, but I can imagine getting bored of them. Blem and Free Smoke. But I do really like Glow. But I guess I'm a huge Kanye fan, so I'm kind of like skewed in like it kind of already it starts on a good foot if it's got Kanye in with me. So
yeah.
I'm definitely biased towards Kanye stuff. But yeah, overall, nah, not just no. Pretty bad, I'd say. It would be my sum up. Pretty bad.
I'd agree with that. Like, not even I didn't even feel like Kanye saved Glow, and
Mm,
I don't feel like the amount of features on this album saved the album
no,
slash playlist.
it was shocking how much the features didn't save the album. Like I said, it felt like Drake pulled everyone down. Like it didn't feel like anyone was able to do their best here. Even Giggs, whose best isn't that impressive anyway, even he felt like he was stifled by Drake's songs. So yeah, no, I'm not. I don't hate Drake, but I don't like this project. Thank you everyone for listening. If you guys listen to the album, playlist, whatever, what did you think of it? Let us know. If you want to check out the album, playlist, whatever, then link to the Spotify will be in the description below. Go over and support Drake. You know, he really needs it. He's a struggling little artist who needs your support. Exactly, man. You know, every penny counts when you're on the grind. So make sure to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, share it on your social media, and we'll see you for the next video that we produce. See you later.
Bye bye.